Today on the Skid Factory, we're getting on the Subaru bandwagon. Wagon? If you skip the intro, you're going to miss out on the bit where we're having a live stream next Wednesday. What date, Woody?
No, this Wednesday.
Oh, hang on. Oh, it's today.
Yeah, that's
What?
it.
Except for Patreons. It's 2 days from now.
Yeah, that's it.
This is confusing.
It is very confusing.
Anyway, what day? Wednesday.
Today, 4
Today,
p.m.
4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is like 5 o'clock Eastern Daylight Saving Time, and could be any time in the world if you don't live in Australia or if you don't live on the East Coast.
Google it.
Google it, yeah. Yeah, what was it? Yeah, we're having a live stream, so yeah, join us. Woody's going to drink beers out of a intercooler tank.
No, I'm not. I'll do one if you do one.
Only for cash.
Yeah, I'll do one if you do one.
Anyway, get into it.
Righto, 4 p.m. this afternoon. Or if you're watching this and it's 4 p.m. right now, then...
If you're watching this on Thursday, you've missed out.
Oh well.
You've got to be in it to win it. Welcome back to the Skid Factory. Recently we helped our friends out at Mighty Car Mods with their Lavorg wagon, grovel as they call it. We sort of got back into the old Subaru flavour. It's been a while since we fiddled around with the Lego that is a Subaru. It's kind of enjoyable when they're not broken. Which brings me to this vehicle here. This is Ian's Liberty wagon. This was actually on the show many years ago. We had a bit of a look over it. I helped build this car a long time ago. I can't even remember when. And we had a bit of a look because it's quite unique in the way it's built. And because it's a Subaru, it's actually broken at the moment. It's not the head gaskets, for a change. It's actually the gearbox, but we'll get to that in a bit. But let's first have a look under the bonnet here, because this is an old build. And as you know, we love to reflect on our old builds and see what we've done and wonder why we did it. So in standard Subaru form, it's a very large mess of hoses and wires and other random things, and you can't really see anything cool except for one intercooler pipe. The reason for that is the turbo is actually underneath the engine, which is kind of what makes this car a little bit unique. It was the fashion of the time. I saw Subaru put the turbo under the engine, so I thought that was a great idea, and every Subaru after that I tried to do it too. And this is one of the ones that actually works really well. So it's been going for many years now. It makes a lot of power. It's got somewhere around like 750 horsepower at the four wheels.
Can you just point to the corner to link the previous video we've done for a detailed review, so we don't have to go right into it? Yeah, you got it.
Sweet.
But now just give us a quick rundown on the engine.
5 years and I've finally worked out which corner. So the engine in this is, it's actually, the reason why it still goes is because it's a very expensive, meticulously built EJ25. It's got all the stuff like closed deck and sleeves and everything that you could possibly think of that would make a Subaru not blow up, but even though they still will. It's also got late model Subaru heads, EJ207 quad variable cam timing, so they're like the best Subaru head that they made. And then there's a lot of stuff on top of it that makes it look like a Subaru. It's Haltech managed, and it's got pretty much everything that Haltech has to offer on it. And most of those are required to try and keep it alive under duress, which it definitely is under at that power level. The turbo's probably pretty much maxed out at that rate, but the head bolts are still secure, and that's probably the biggest challenge that you come up against in Subaru world, other than making the engine bay not look like a dog's breakfast, which no one has succeeded with as far as I'm aware of.
That's what an EZ30's for.
No, they still look like once you put pipes and hoses on them.
You reckon?
Yeah. So Ian is one of the rare people that own a Subaru that have managed to make big horsepower and keep the engine together. So I guess you're going to know what happens next. The gearbox breaks. This is a 6-speed equipped car, and they aren't easy to break until you get to around about this power level, and then they are. I think that's the second standard 6-speed that this has had in it. he must have got a bit easier on the gear in his later life, because it's hasn't broken for a while now, or that could be because he's been in the Middle East for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and never drives it, but one or the other. So it was on the dyno the other day, and they were just finishing off some sort of basic sort of touch-up tune stuff to go to an event, and all of a sudden the gearbox just went nope and tinkled into bits. So it no longer has 6 gears, it's only got 3 now, and one of them is reverse, so it could be interesting. The good news is we've had a gearbox sitting here for years that he bought to replace this when it inevitably broke. I think it's a PPG gear, it's a dog box, first to fourth gear dog, so it's going to be horrible to drive. There's many compromises involved in high-powered Subaru ownership, and that's one of them. So let's put it up in the air and start pulling out bits and pieces to try and figure out how to get the gearbox out.
What about the diff too?
The diff is miraculously not broken. It's an R160, so it's about half the size that it should be, and it's never broken that or a drive shaft, which is impossible, virtually impossible. So we're going to put an R180 in it. There's just a factory upgrade for the later Liberty GTBs with the 6-speed. They had an R180 diff in them. They still have little shafts in them, but we'll just bolt some stuff on and see what happens, eh? It might be up to the driver.
We can always 2JZ swap it. That's been done before. 2JZ and glide.
I don't know why you'd get like a $1,000 Subaru body shell and put a $10,000 2JZ in it, of all things. Actually, I've done that. They weren't $10,000 then though. They were only cheap.
Oh, honey. I love honey. What does it taste like? Sweet?
It's like water and ethanol. The f has it got a boost gauge for? 1992. Woody wanted to do a challenge where we race against the clock to get this gearbox out compared to the book time, and I said no, because everything about this car is not like it should be, and in hindsight we would have lost badly with all this shit everywhere. This is the clutch pivot shaft. So you've got to pull this out before you try and pull the gearbox out, otherwise you're going to have a bad time. Make sure you drop it on the ground. And I just pulled the clutch out of the bearing.
So because it's a pull type clutch. Yes.
Yeah, it stays in the back of the clutch until you pull it apart.
Sucker Pajero.
So, there's a lot of pull clutches now, but Subaru's probably one of the early adopters of it. No one got that right the first time, believe.
Looks like something that comes out of it.
When you've had a baby, you'll know what that is. Here's the power maker. EJs make about 18 horsepower without a turbo. So that's the other. Quick math, 722. No, 732. Right there. It's a GTX35 RS, or it was last time I looked. Yep, looks like it's still the same. External gate. Tubular manifold. I've made a whole bunch of these over the years for various people, and now I can't be bothered, so don't ask. It's like someone who's a fabricator to make it, like Steady Fab. Disappointing lack of chunks.
Just go back a little bit. Yep, sweet. Every job's one bolt away from being a bad time. Unfortunately, this guy said no when we undid it with the Allen key.
We are changing the clutch as well. The clutch that's in it's like this hybrid sort of thing that's incredibly noisy, like an old Japanese thing. Sounds great in theory, but it also doesn't work very well. So we've got a new clutch that's actually been, it's no longer a pull clutch, which just about all Subaru turbo, all the 6-speeds definitely are. So it's been swapped over to a push clutch. So we've got an old OS Geiken, depending on which part of Ipswich you're from, push-pull converter. These were common back in the day when stuff like Supras and that sort of thing had, and R32 GTRs and that had pull clutches, and they would convert them over to a push clutch. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not like this. So it's got a sort of a new fork, and it has a bunch of things that clatter around and make it noisy and difficult, and it converts it over to a push clutch. So we've just got to assemble it all.
So what's the advantage to changing over to a push type clutch instead of pull? Is that just because availability?
If you're OS geek and you have lots of push clutches and you don't have any pull clutches, so you go to all the trouble of making this just so you can sell more clutches.
Is it harder to make a pull type clutch to handle power or something? Is that?
Yeah, I think it's harder to get diaphragms to work easily. Certainly was on this thing.
So change to a push type and then happy days.
Noisy, clattery, clanky, bucking in traffic days, yeah. It's the same thing. You either hold that or get me the other bit.
What's the other bit?
The red bit.
Here's your red dinner plate. Did you check those garter springs on the axles, bros?
Of course. I'll knock it out on the way in. High five.
No. Hey, Auto Data said you should only take an hour and a half, Al. What's the times card saying?
I can guarantee you that there's no Auto Data Spec 4 pull apart everything, find out that it's all different, find out that it doesn't fit, and then put it all back together again.
You've got the part where you
That's
phone your friend, phone 3 friends.
Performance modification Auto Data doesn't exist.
Hey, that's a good idea. Maybe we can start selling up. Talk to me. Tell me what's happened.
The drive shafts for the diff are wrong for the car, because these things have like a hybrid drive shaft for a big inner and a small outer, which is kind of seems like a waste of time putting a big diff in it if you're going to still have a fuse link at the other end. But anyway, they're wrong, so they only came in a few cars. They're kind of rare, so we'll have to try and find either some second-hand ones or some new ones from Subaru once we get a chassis number. So it's going back together, and then we're just going to put the tail shaft in, and it's going to be fine and never break.
Let's just paint this one black and tell Ian it's R180. He'll never know.
Certainly nothing to say that the R180 wouldn't break either. So. Everything's hooked up. It's looking as scruffy as it did when it got here, so that's all good. The clutch feels good underfoot, considering how tiny and race-like it looks. We've also fitted this strain gauge gear knob, so it senses you putting a certain amount of level of strain on the knob to change gears. It's what all sequential boxes usually have on them. You can then assign things like ignition cut or other things in the ECU to unload the engine while you flat shift it. It's got a dog gear engagement, so it is possible to flat shift it, and having that sort of function helps things come along nicely. You don't have to, normally you would just back off a tiny bit as you smash it through, just like you do on a motorbike, but with that he has the option not to. Let's see what it's like.
Does that? It's 1 to 4 straight cut, isn't it?
Yeah, so yeah, straight cut dog 1 to 4, and then 5th and 6th are okay. So on the highway you're not going to want to kill yourself as bad, but yeah, I mean you're not going to get any street cred at the track with a manual box unless it's making noises like that.
Just drain the oil out of your RB25 gearbox and then...
Did we put oil in it? Maybe it's just standard. Ian's going to be up here right quick to pick up the wagon. He's got to take it back to get back on the dyno and get it to the roll racing / happy laps event thing on the weekend. So we're going to fling him a camera so he can record stuff happening, get a power level back up to where it's supposed to be. You might have noticed over the last few weeks that we've been doing stuff a little bit differently to what we've normally been doing, just like working on our mates' cars, sort of having a bit of a look at them, and then doing a bit of a upgrade on them. It's basically just because we've got big jobs ahead of us and we needed to just sort of get some content, but also it's kind of more fun for us to just get in and get stuck in and do something and get it done and drive it out at the end of the day rather than have it there for 6 months. So if you like it, let us know in the comments. If you don't like it, you'll probably do that anyway. We're just experimenting with stuff. The videos have been going well, so we're guessing that you're liking it. But you know, if that's the kind of thing that you're interested in seeing, then we can certainly do that. All these cars that we build, such as this and the glorious wagon behind it, they all still exist afterwards. So we still have to maintain them and sometimes upgrade them. Sometimes the Fairlane gets upgraded every year, forever. So there's plenty of stuff that we can still do that isn't a big build like the Crown or all the other big builds that we do. So if you like it, let us know.
Which wagon are you taking home? What do you reckon, Al?
You'd have to say which wagon are you taking to the track day and which wagon are you taking to the...
Nah, you can only pick one.
The cruise.
You can only pick one.
That's a hard one.
I'm going the HJ. For sure.
All right, I'll take this and I'll beat you at the track.
Comment below.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Comment below which wagon you're taking. Who's taking what?
And where are you taking it?
Wait, hang on. Now we've got to cross live to our
First of all,
correspondent.
crossing live to our Brisbane correspondent, Ian.
Introducing the Skid Factory Drink Cooler 5000.
We're reporting live from Night Family Motorsports Dyno Cell number 1.
Thanks, Alan Woody, and welcome to the inner southern suburbs of Brisbane, where I'm putting my final preparations in for the Powercruise weekend of camping. I've eaten my last salad. I've taken my last shower without shoes on before the week. I'm pretty much ready to go. As for the car, it just needs to go to the dyno, which we'll do next, and finish off the tune that it was doing when the gearbox let go. Strain gauge shifting is something that we'll have a look at on the dyno or out on the track, but it's not a priority. The dog box on the street is quite an interesting prospect. The first day of driving it back from ours was very daunting, but now I'm a lot more comfortable with it. But let's just say, if you've ever seen Steve Dulcich from another YouTube show or paid show, you'll understand the face he pulls when he shifts gears in that Cougar. Pretty much all I've got left to do in the house now is to put on my flannelette shirt and find a hat that has flames on the beak, and I'll be ready to go.
Hey GoPro, start time lapse. Hey GoPro, start time lapse. GoPro, please start time lapse. Oh, it's recording. Don't forget, this afternoon, 4 PM, we're doing a live stream. Jump on, that's 4 PM Eastern Standard Time, whatever time that is in the world. Don't know, have a look.
GMT plus 10.
GMT plus 10. Jump on board. We're giving away a few teasers as to what's coming up with the Skid Factory, what we've been up to, and just a general live stream banter, have a yarn, answer some questions in the comment section. So jump on, have a chat. We'll see you there. If you're watching this and it's Thursday, sorry you missed out. So you can click up here for maybe the replay, unless it was a bit loose and I deleted it like last year.
Is that the right place to point?
Get some merchandise here. I'm assuming I'm in the center of the frame. Click here to subscribe or click here for another video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
I forgot to record.
No, you're joking me.